Okay, so good morning, everyone. And we know it's just a few minutes before 8:45. We appreciate you attending, starting a little bit earlier than 9 o'clock this time. Due to the connectivity problem last time, we talked with our IT department, got several different suggestions on how to hopefully not get disconnected this time, and one of the suggestions was to not start at the top of the hour. So we're going to wait just 1 or 2 minutes before we get started and give everyone a few minutes to get in. We don't want to start too early and miss anyone. So I will, just as a reminder to everyone, and I'll let everyone know again once we start the webinar that you're welcome to add any questions in, and we will address those questions within this hour webinar. So why don't we go ahead? I think we're pretty close to 1:45. We'll go ahead and get started. So again, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our CNP Weekly webinar. My name is Colleen Fillmore, and I'm the Child Nutrition Director. And on this webinar is the entire staff of CNP to answer questions you have in running the CNP programs during the COVID-19. We do want to apologize for the connectivity problem that we had last week, and we also had the same problem, unfortunately, during the superintendent's webinar yesterday. Several people across the country are using these types of platforms, and they're taxing the system. And so this time we made everyone in the CNP team an organizer so that if one person loses the connection, the next person can take over. So hopefully we've covered all of our bases and we can continue to have a really good hour webinar with no loss of connection. If we do happen to lose connection completely, we will reschedule. Another problem that we're seeing with GoToWebinar is when we are putting them in, it is not changing to the appropriate time zone. So these webinars have been and will continue to be every Thursday morning, yet some are getting notices of Thursday afternoon webinars. So we just want to reassure you that they are scheduled for the next few weeks from 8:45 to 9:45 on Thursday morning. So if you know of anyone who is still thinking of Thursday afternoon, please let them know of this. So our agenda for today is as follows. I'll go over a few updates. Linda Westfall will go over the questions we received ahead of time. There are 5 of them. Then Jessica and TJ will review the handouts available on this webinar. Please note that you can download these handouts, and we will be projecting these documents on the screen during the webinar, so you'll also have a visual look at this. The next step after looking at the handouts, TJ will be providing you with some resources for USDA Foods. During the webinar, please add any additional questions you have, and we will answer those. This webinar is being recorded, and we will put it on the governor's website for later reference if you choose to view it again. Okay, so let's get started. We only have an hour. So last Friday, on April 3rd, we did receive USDA guidance that we can now serve meals on the weekends while running the summer food and the seamless programs. This was made effective on the 3rd when USDA announced that. Unfortunately, reimbursement cannot be retroactive, and we have updated our Q&A and put that on the governor's website. Also, Kat and Sean and Nate worked on that Q&A. Want to give a shout out for their hard work. They categorized everything and made it ADA compliant, so hopefully we have well over 100 Q&As at this point, so hopefully that will make it easier for you to search for the question and answer that you need. There have been some concerns mentioned by schools regarding their fiscal balances, and we understand those concerns. Our office contacted USDA this week, and they did confirm at this time there is no emergency money set aside from USDA for this purpose. We have heard from some groups, such as the School Nutrition Association and others, that are advocating on behalf of relief in this area, and we will definitely let you know if we hear more. Our office also has been contacted by some sites throughout the state that are struggling to get food deliveries. We are in communication and partnership with the Idaho Food Bank for areas of need. As an example, we have been told that Northern Idaho is struggling with food supplies, and the Idaho Food Bank is contacting their fellow organizations in that area. Please continue to share these concerns so we can work with our fellow partners to get you the resources you need. Want to make sure that everyone is on mute. I'm kind of getting some feedback, and I'm not sure if others are. We do want to note, after talking with the food bank last night, food shortages are unfortunately being seen nationwide. We also have seen some wonderful success stories. They have to do with, you know, one school district put on Facebook that they needed masks, and within a few days they had 180 from a dental area, a dental office. By the end of the week, they had 100 bandanas, 90 cloth face masks. The community efforts and working together is something that we're really proud to see. We also have one site that served almost 6,000 meals. It's just one site in one day. We see bus drivers that are not only transporting food, but are getting in the kitchens and helping. So the things are going on and on. We've received so many success stories, and apologize that we can't share them all due to time, but we want you to know that we are so proud of all of you. We appreciate your efforts, and thank you so much. So at this time, we're going to have, Linda, I'm going to go ahead and give you the screen. Just one second here. And Linda is going to go over the questions that we received ahead of time. So Linda, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to say and answer the 5 questions we've received ahead of time. So the first one was, what is acceptable in sack lunches? For example, would individually wrapped, pre-made burritos or pre-cooked fish sticks with instructions be okay? Please consider the safety of food while transporting. Families may not have the tools necessary to maintain safe temperatures. Follow food safety guidelines, HACCP, and guidance from the local health district. Refer to the USDA Food Safe Schools Action Guide. So question 2, we have a signature form for parents to sign when they pick up meals for their children, but we've been informed that they are going to other districts to get meals as well. How can we prevent this from happening every day? Can we post on our website to let parents know it isn't right? If you choose to post a message to parents on your website, be sure to get approval from your superintendent or administrator. Do the best you can for the students you are serving. Question 3, once school has officially ended and we are supposed to start our summer lunch, do we continue serving meals the same way, sack lunches, and serving breakfast along with the lunch if that's what had applied for already? Answer, as this is a very fluid situation, we're waiting on guidance from USDA. Sponsors will be informed as soon as we hear back. Okay, I'm going to have to lower this. Since the USDA has a waiver for weekend meals now, are we allowed to give those meals to them on Friday, allowing them to get 3 meals at once, 1 for Friday and 2 for the weekend? Unless sponsors are operating under the home delivery flexibility, a maximum of 2 meals are allowed to be served each day. Sponsors may serve meals on Saturday and or Sunday at open feeding sites. Sponsors must have a state agency approved COVID-19 nationwide waiver request form to opt in for home delivery. And those were the questions that we've had in advance. Oh, 5, sorry. So number 5, will there be any financial assistance to apply for to make our budget whole if we are running in the red and have less participation due to COVID-19? Answer, our office contacted USDA this week, and they did confirm at this time there is no emergency money set aside from USDA for this purpose. We have heard from some groups such as the School Nutrition Association and others that are advocating on behalf for relief in this area. We'll let you know when we hear more. And next, Jessica will start showing you some of the handouts.
Thanks, Linda. Good morning, everyone. So I just want to draw your attention to your GoToWebinar menu on your right-hand side. There is a section that says Handouts, and there should be 5 available to you. Just really quickly, wanted to go over a few of those before I pass it on to TJ. There is a handout from No Kid Hungry regarding emergency planning and staff safety tips. So we would encourage you to review that. Additionally, we have a handout from USDA, and it is the USDA Food Safe Schools Action Guide. This guide covers many different areas of food safety that need to be considered when serving food. So we would encourage you guys to review this handout. As you can see, there are a lot of different sections that it goes through, and it may help you during this time. The next handout that we have is the Child Nutrition Program's Summer Food, Seamless Summer COVID-19 Waivers infographic. So I know there's been a lot of confusion surrounding which waivers to apply for and when. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you have a congregate feeding waiver request form in. If you are going to be serving kiddos, this is the first step to doing so. So make sure you have that congregate waiver form in. The next waiver that we have is the area eligible request form. So if you're approved to operate with less than 50% free and reduced eligibility, this is the form that you will want to complete in order to operate as an open site. So all of these stipulations that apply to those folks that were approved to operate with over 50% free and reduced, this will give you those same considerations. So if you want to operate as an open site and you're currently closed enrolled, please fill out this form and send it our way. Then we have the nationwide USDA waiver request form, and this includes a couple of different flexibilities. The first one is the meal pattern flexibility, and we just want to be clear that the meal pattern flexibility is only available to those sponsors who are experiencing disruptions in the availability of food products. So if your vendor is unable to deliver certain components to you, those are the types of situations where we may approve a meal pattern flexibility. Then we have the parent guardian pickup meals flexibility. This one, I think we've already mentioned before as well. It will waive that rule that states that children need to be present in order to receive a meal. So this would allow parents or guardians or an older sibling to pick up the meal on behalf of a child. Lastly, on that form, we have a home meal delivery flexibility. If you are planning on delivering meals to students at their homes, this is the document that you will want to fill out. There's an additional document called the home delivery protocols that you will want to review. It tells you all the stipulations that you'll need to follow in order to participate in home delivery. That includes getting written consent from every household and a couple of different other guidelines. So you'll definitely want to review that document before applying for this flexibility. And lastly, we have the nationwide USDA waiver for on-site monitoring. This will allow sponsors to waive certain on-site monitoring requirements for both the Seamless Summer Program and Summer Food Service Program. So that is another option that you have. Additionally, for those folks that are operating under Cacfp, there is one document that encompasses multiple flexibilities that we discussed. So theirs is the Cacfp COVID-19 Nationwide Waiver Request Form, and it includes the non-congregate flexibility, the home delivery flexibility. This also includes a meal service time flexibility, which allows sponsors to adjust the approved time of service, the activity flexibility for after school, activity flexibility for after school care programs. And then we go down to that meal pattern flexibility, parent guardian pickup flexibility, and then we also have an on-site monitoring flexibility for sponsoring organizations. So if you have any questions regarding Cacfp and this waiver and those flexibilities, please make sure you reach out to Kim Huntley and she'll be able to assist you. That's all I have, so I'm going to send it over to TJ.
Great, thank you so much, Jessica. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I am going to go ahead and go through a little bit of information that we have developed concerning USDA foods. Some of the things that we're noticing is a trend away from the grab-and-go meals, basically because of vendor supply constraints and availability, and then the idea that most school districts still have in their possession a lot of USDA foods, and people are trying to figure out how do we incorporate these particular foods into our model of service. So what I wanted to do was kind of explain a little bit about how home delivery provides a different option and how USDA foods can then be incorporated into your meal service style. And I've been watching the questions, and it appears that many of you are thinking about this home delivery perspective. So with home delivery, first you do have to request the flexibility, as Jessica mentioned, on that nationwide waivers form that we've provided. But on home delivery, you actually have the option to be able to deliver once per week. So basically what a best practice might look like is, let's say you have route number 1. You've been using route number 1 to do bus stops as open sites, but you could essentially take route number 1 and turn that into your Monday delivery day, where all of the home deliveries for that particular route would be taken on Monday. And they can be for an entire week's worth of foods for the number of children in the household. So you would be looking more at a boxed food delivery model as opposed to bagged food delivery model. So as you can see, we sort of just talked about, what if I had multiple routes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then you can provide 2 meals for all the children in the household receiving that home delivery for up to 7 days. So this is one of the options where you can start looking at bulk foods in a different manner if you have multiple children in a household. So in our particular example, what we looked at was, if you are currently providing 2 meals per day as allowable, a breakfast and a lunch, and you're delivering 7 days worth of meals once a week, that would be 14 meals for one particular individual. But let's say you have a household with 3 children in the household. Now we're looking at delivering 42 meals. So you can start seeing where using USDA foods could potentially fit into a home delivery model, and you would be less at the whim of a vendor who doesn't have for you those grab-and-go items that you're currently relying on. So we thought what would be helpful to do is to explain the Summer Food Service Program, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page about what that looks like. Now, we do know some sponsors are operating under SSO, or the Seamless Summer Option, which requires following the National School Lunch meal pattern. But the majority of folks currently serving meals through this COVID crisis are actually doing so under a summer food service model. So we wanted to kind of just distinguish between the two. So if you're serving a breakfast, what would that look like? You need 1 serving of fruit or vegetable, which needs to equal to a ½ cup. You need 1 serving of grain, and we talk about serving sizes a little bit differently in summer foods than we do in the summer meal pattern, but most of you operating summer foods have done it in the past, so you know what that means. And then, of course, 1 serving of milk, so it's fairly simplistic for breakfast. For lunch, we have 2 servings, fruit and or vegetable, that are equal to 3/4 of a cup. So you could have a ½ cup of fruit and a 1/4 cup of a vegetable, or you could have a ½ cup of fruit A and a 1/4 cup of fruit B, let's say peaches and applesauce. Then you also could have a ½ cup of vegetable and a 1/4 cup of vegetable, 2 different vegetables. So there's some flexibility there depending on what you have available to you. You also need to serve a grain. You also need to have a serving of a meat alternate. And then you also need to have a serving of milk. So in our example, if you were to look at your USDA foods that you currently have available, and let's say you have pancakes, a case of pancakes, you could take that case of pancakes and separate out the number of pancakes you needed for your household family. So what we did in our example is we decided that we had 3 children, right? So you would pull out 21 pancakes and you would put those in your box of delivered foods that will go to that household for their once a week delivery. You also have canned applesauce available. For our particular example, for this family, a number 10 can of applesauce actually has 23 half-cup servings. So if you took a can of applesauce and put it in your box, and then you also took a can of sliced peaches, those 2 cans would provide 41 of the 42 half-cup servings of fruit that you need for breakfast and lunch for those 3 children in your household that you're delivering to on a home delivery model. So essentially, you could take a couple of pieces of fresh fruit, throw those in since you only have 41 servings, and now you have all the fruit that you need for that family for the week. Now, we do respect and appreciate that children don't want to eat the same foods every single day. We understand that. But essentially, you have a financial obligation to try and keep your programs running, and we are hearing that there is a huge financial burden associated with procuring all these foods on a commercial basis. So what if you just figured out how to implement some of your USDA foods into those box items so you're starting to reduce the financial cost and the financial burden associated with that. So on our little infographic that we have here, every single item minus the milk is representative of USDA foods that most of you already have in stock. You likely have canned applesauce. You likely have pancakes. All of these were offered in our USDA food selections. You most likely have sliced peaches. You most likely have frozen mixed vegetables. You most likely have rice and you most likely have chicken nuggets. So how you get those to the family becomes pertinent in the food safety world, but you guys are really good at this. This is where you're experts at delivering meals. So we just wanted to start the conversation about considering home delivery and what that would look like. So with that, we will go ahead and turn our time over now to questions at the end of the webinar.
Okay, thank you, TJ, and thank you, everyone. The CMP team has been working, as you can imagine, extremely long hours on not only approving the waivers that are coming in, which are into the hundreds, but also doing these sort of handouts and resources on infographics. So a big shout out to the CMP team for doing all this wonderful stuff. So let me go ahead and start putting the questions through. The first one is not really a question, but a very nice comment. It is great to hear all those familiar voices. And we definitely love hearing everyone else's voices too. So working from home is not as fun as it might sound. So thanks again for all your hard work. The next question I'm going to give to Mary Ann. She said, the question is, am I correct that even though our school year ends May 29th, we can still continue to operate under the COVID-19 summer through June 30th? So Mary Ann, you want to take that one?
Good morning, everyone. This is Mary Ann Leiby. Yes, the answer to that question is yes. Sponsors can operate the summer food service program under COVID-19 through June 30th or upon expiration of the federally declared public health emergency, whichever is earlier. As far as regular summer operations, we are continually working with the Western region to get more information about that. And once we receive more guidelines, we will share that with all the sponsors. Thanks, Colleen.
Hey, great. Thank you so much, Mary Ann. Mary Ann, I'm going to give you this next one too. Please review the summer food sites review requirements, school sites, bus stop routes during emergency feeding.
Yes, definitely. Yes. So originally, the state agency submitted a waiver back in December of 2018, waiving these monitoring requirements. And we have received approval for the first week site visit to be waived. That's good through April 30th. Now, under the COVID-19 operations, the monitoring requirements have also been waived to be conducted on site, meaning sponsors can complete their first week and monitoring reviews as a desk audit. So that means that you do not have to conduct that at your site location. Thanks, Colleen.
Great, Mary Ann. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, this next one, TJ, I'm going to give this to you. Can we home deliver more than the breakfast lunch per day?
Yes, so thank you for that. Home delivery does allow for only 2 meals per day, but as we just discussed in looking at that at the infographic, you can deliver for up to 7 days on one delivery. So we covered that a little bit, and this is a really great question, recognizing that if you go to a home delivery model, now you're reducing some of your potentially staff burden in prepping those boxes and making them available for home delivery. But keep in mind, you can only do 2 meals per day. So it does not include a supper or a snack if you've opted for breakfast and lunch service.
Okay, thank you, TJ. And TJ, I think you have already answered this next question, but if you will have anything more you would like to add, the question is, if we do some home delivery meals, can we give them a week's worth of meals so we only have to deliver 1 time a week? Again, I think you answered that, but if you have anything else you want to add, please do.
Right. More than anything, just make sure that you're asking for that flexibility. Use the form that we've provided and ask for the home delivery flexibility so that we can ensure that we know you're providing home delivery. But otherwise, I think that we have covered it. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, Linda, I'll give this next one to you. We ran our direct cert report before we left for spring break. After the break, the economic situation has changed. Can we run a report of now the CEP qualifications? So Linda, you might be on mute. Maybe we lost Linda. Does anyone else want to take that one?
Sorry.
That's
my
okay.
My mute and hang up button are right next to each other, and guess what I did? Okay. So if it's the DC question that they ran before spring break, of course, with the changes occurring daily with the COVID-19 situation, we hope you're all still running your DC report to give parents the benefits that they need in case school resumes before the end of the school year. The benefits will also carry over for 30 days into the next school year as well. So I hope you are running your DC reports.
Okay, thank you, Linda. So Linda, I'll give this next one to you too. If we do get a situation that on one day we run short on milk, do we do it as a daily waiver for that day? It's hard to predict the number on meals. We have increased the milk now and are told we can get it. However, I do not want to be in a situation of not being able to count the meals. Is it possible to do a waiver that we can serve one milk if it looks like we may run short on that next day?
That's a really good question. But we don't expect the waiver for food shortages to be a burden to sponsors. We want you to do your best to meet the meal pattern, but if you find yourself with a continuing shortage of food, that would be when the waiver's needed, not on a daily basis.
Great. And what I really like Linda just said is we want things to be as easy and as flexible for all of you as possible. We know how hard you're working, so please keep that in mind. Okay, TJ, I'm going to give you this next one. For home deliveries, is there a form or questionnaire that can be sent to families to ensure that they have adequate food safety equipment? My concern is that if they have refrigeration, freezer, oven, in reality, we may be delivering to families that do not have electricity or basic means to maintain food safety. So TJ?
Yeah, and so I appreciate the question. We actually talked about this a little bit amongst our staff, and while the state agency has not developed any type of a form or a questionnaire to send out, you folks know your communities better than we do. So I think it's a great idea because essentially you need to develop your model around the needs of your community, what best meets those families. It doesn't do any good to deliver a family a box of food if they can't keep it frozen and, you know, and then they have food safety issues. The other thing is obviously you folks are the expert at serving meals and making meals and recipes and knowing what fits a meal pattern and those kinds of things. So there may be some effort associated with potentially providing some type of a flyer with your home delivery box that, you know, indicates these foods are frozen foods. Please make sure they go in your freezer immediately. These can be refrigerated for up to so many days. And possibly even cooking instructions. You know, if you give someone a 2-pound bag of rice and they don't really know how to cook a parboiled bag of rice, well, then it's not very helpful. So it's not to say that these foods are going to be easy to incorporate, but it may become necessary as we see grocery store and vendor constraints. So we wanted to start the conversation now so that we can ensure that all your needs are met. So as a community, meet your community needs, and then of course incorporate what you can for fiscal responsibility.
Okay, thank you, TJ. Okay, Linda, I'm going to give you this next one. I just had a conversation with a parent that had to work on some days and would like to send her 16-year-old daughter to pick up meals for her sibling while mom is at work. She wants to send her with our permission slip signed by mom. Is that allowable?
So you don't need a permission slip. We do allow parents, guardians, and siblings to pick up a meal. So an older sibling can pick up the meal for the younger siblings and bring it home. You don't need a permission slip.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Okay, the next two are comments, not questions. One of them was thanking TJ for her USDA work and on that infographic, and TJ did do a wonderful job, and so did Jessica in putting that together. I know I'm such a visual learner, having things like that is very helpful. And then the next comment is thank you, CMP team, and we thank you folks back in return. You're doing a wonderful job. Okay, the next question, could you share best practices for school districts that have moved over to more home deliveries? Thanks so much for these resources. So we are putting together some best practices, but I am not sure how many of them have to do with home delivery. So does anyone have any additional or specific examples that you can give for this question?
Colleen, if I might chime in for just a second, again, reiterating, make sure that you're asking for the flexibility. The other thing that's really important to understand about home delivery is that once the state agency, when you're asking for that flexibility, please do not send any documentation with the family's address and children's names to the state agency via email. We don't need to know that information, but a best practice would look something like making sure that you know how to claim those meals. So you may have to come up with a point of service document, so to speak, where you're tabulating those deliveries. And then in My Idaho CMP, when you look at your site information, it will basically just say home deliveries, and we're currently calling it various, and then that's where you would claim those meals. But in terms of best practices, I would suggest that daily deliveries, I know there's school districts that are trying to keep their bus drivers employed, but daily deliveries are taxing your staff too. So you need to start thinking about those a little bit more. And what is a best practice for one community might not necessarily be the same best practice for a bigger community.
Okay, thank you, TJ. Okay, so the next one, TJ, this might be one for you, but if others want to chime in, please do. Just a note about the number 10 cans. If you use a regular home use can opener, they are ruined in a short time. I learned this while working at an assisted living facility. So I don't know if that's more of a comment. I'm not sure that we have much input on that. I will say that really, you know, trying to come up with the best ideas to get food out there for kids.
And, you know, one other thing, Colleen, is essentially, would those number 10 cans work for everybody? Maybe not, and we don't know how long this is going to go on. Those are some of the considerations. This is just a moving target for everybody, so I appreciate that comment. But if you're using clamshells or any other form of delivery, you know, you can open up cans and break them down and divide down cases of product to meet the needs of families. So that might be a better idea, or, you know, gallon-sized baggies. I'm not sure. This just has to look a little bit different, because we do know we are hearing almost every single day now about additional vendor constraints for available grab-and-go items.
Yeah, that is very true. So thank you for that. Okay, Marianne, I'm going to give you this next one. Can parents pick up the week's worth of meals, or must it be delivered? So Marianne, you might be on mute.
Oh, yep. Here, got it. I think I have to press 2 unmute buttons. Thanks, Colleen. So service up to 1 week's worth of meals are only available through home deliveries, and sponsors must submit their home delivery flexibility form. The child does not have to be present to receive the meals as long as the school food authorities has obtained the household's written consent to deliver meals and has verified the current address as well, so the student does not have to be present to receive the home delivered meal.
Perfect. Thank you, Marianne. And Marianne, I'm going to give you this next one too, just to confirm monitoring requirements are waived for emergency feeding.
Yes, thank you for submitting that question, Kevin. Sponsors must submit the on-site monitoring waiver form to receive approval from the state agency. Once sponsors receive this waiver, sponsor can complete their monitoring requirements off-site. For example, instead of doing the on-site site review, you can complete this as a desk audit.
Perfect. Marianne, thank
you.
you. Okay, the next question is going to be for Linda. Do we know what renewal will look like for the year 2021 now that schools will not be opening again this year? Will we have to do the non-program food spreadsheet, etc., or will there be exemptions?
Okay, so during this extraordinary time, we really haven't started the renewal application yet, but we will keep that in mind for sponsors this year when we have the conversation in our office.
Okay, thank you, Linda. So we did have someone say they got in a little bit late and they maybe missed their answer, so we're going to ask it next. Just as a friendly reminder, all of these are recorded and put on the governor's website, so if you do want to go and listen to them again, you can do that. So the question is, can we serve hot lunches like hamburgers and French fries as a grab and go? TJ did go through quite a bit of an explanation as far as the infographics. So, you know, Linda, I'll let you go ahead and add anything else that you would like to add in addition to what TJ's already said. Thank you.
Okay, so yes, hot meals are acceptable as long as you're following food safety practices. Hopefully the children are eating within the 4-hour food safety window, but hot meals are fine.
Yeah, we appreciate that question since we are hearing that there are some struggles in getting food deliveries. Okay, next question. What form does families need to sign if we provide home delivery? So who would like to take that one?
Hi, I'll take that one. The most important thing, this is TJ, is to ensure that you've submitted the nationwide waiver request form that allows for flexibilities for meal pattern, parent pickup, and home delivery. That's your first step. When it comes to the families, you do need to reach out to the families in your community and get their consent. And what that consent looks like, it does, USD guidance asks for written consent, but you could have them email that to you because obviously we're trying to respect the social distancing practices as well. So a family could email you their consent that they would like home delivery, and that's really all you need. No addresses or anything else need to be collected for the state agency's purposes.
Okay, TJ, thank you. And I think you have answered this next question. Let me see, kind of moved up on me. To change to home delivery, what requirements are required? I believe you've answered that, but is there anything else you would like to add or anyone else?
I think we're good on that one.
Yeah, but they also need to ask for a waiver to do home delivery through us.
Right, it's called the nationwide waiver request form, and it allows for parent pickup, meal pattern, flexibility, and home delivery. It's sort of an all-in-one form, so make sure that you're using the right form and selecting home delivery.
Gotcha. Okay, and here's another comment. Here is my support to exempt and exclude non-program foods form for 2021 with a smile face. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we can make things as easy as possible for everyone. So appreciate that comment. Okay, next question. Does home delivery only apply to the school site boundaries we have already been approved for? So who would like to take that? Or do you think we've already answered that?
Leave it up to our friend to stump us on this one. I honestly don't know that we've been asked that, but I think if I understand the question, there's a flexibility to start home delivery, and so home delivery would be defined by the school district. Now, what I'm not sure is, are you suggesting that maybe you'd want to go outside of your school boundaries? I'm just not sure that I understand the question.
So the person who asked that question, you might want to contact our office and give us the specifics, and we are happy to move that forward to USDA to get you an answer once we get the specifics there. Okay, and she said she will do. Sounds great. Okay, what we have is the last question right now, unless any more come in. If the school district is above 50%, are all families eligible for home delivery after a request is submitted, of course? So looks like Dominique is going to take that one.
Hi, everybody. This is Dominique, and if an area is approved area eligible by having 50% or higher free and reduced, all the families in that area would be eligible for home delivery.
Dominique, you're kind of cutting out a little bit. Can you make sure you're close to your phone?
Can you hear me better now?
Perfect. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. If the district is 50% free or above reduced, free or reduced eligible, all families are eligible for home delivery. Granted, you have submitted the request for home delivery, and if the families are not 50% or above, you can submit an area eligibility waiver that will allow you to provide home meals to families that are not at 50% or higher.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dominique. And I am kind of feeling a little bit of a connectivity problem, so I hope we don't lose everyone. But the next question is, Dominique, we'll give this to you too. If we know of some families that are high need and cannot get to sites, could we do home delivery to those who are in severe need without doing home delivery for all of the children?
Yes, home delivery is a decision made by the district on logistic ability and knowing these families that are high need. So you can provide home delivery. It is to families that are in high need if you feel it's logistically feasible. Not all families are under this situation, so you can provide home deliveries to those in your community that you see are in high need.
Okay, thank you, Dominique. The next question, Marianne, I'll give you this one. On Friday, can we deliver 2 meals for them along with the food for the weekend?
Awesome. Thank you for that, Colleen. So to answer this question is, unless the school food authorities has requested the home delivery flexibility waiver form, sponsors can only serve up to 2 meals per day. So that means that a sponsor cannot serve Saturday and Sunday meals on a Friday meal service distribution. Again, unless school food authorities has requested the home delivery flexibility pattern, sponsors can only serve up to 2 meals per day. Thanks, Colleen.
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. Okay, that is all of the questions we have right now. We're going to wait a few minutes to see if any more come in. Oh, here is one. Can we do some home delivery and still run our sites?
Yes, absolutely. This is TJ. So keeping your open site probably makes sense for some of the community when you know you have kids that can get to and from and the weather's getting better. But home delivery is intended to be an SFA choice. And there are some families in high need, you know, maybe they don't have access to a vehicle or the kids are too far away. So you certainly can do both. Just make sure you submit that home delivery flexibility waiver prior to starting any home delivery.
Okay, so again, let me see. Please explain again what the district needs to send in to waive monitoring when the waiver has already been approved. So I don't know if that would be beneficial to pull up one of those infographics again or not for this question.
This is Dominique. Colleen, I might be able to answer this.
Okay.
The state agency submitted waiver requests in 2018. That request will get sponsors through April 20th or 30th of this year. Then those original waivers have expired. In order to have your monitoring requirements waived for current operations, there is a monitoring form that was released by the USDA, and that form needs to be completed for this year if programs extend beyond April.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, comment, thank you for all you do for us, and we again thank you, and thank you. I appreciate all your efforts to help us feed our kids. And after next question, Marianne, we'll give this to you. After we have submitted the appropriate waivers for home delivery, can we have parents come get the meals, or do we have to home deliver?
Thanks, Colleen. So in addition to completing the home delivery flexibility, if sponsors would like for their parents or guardians to pick up meals for an eligible child, sponsors must submit the parents/guardians to pick up meals flexibility form, which is the same form. It's in the same form with the meal pattern flexibility as well as the home delivery flexibility form. Parents and guardians can pick up for an eligible child, meaning children between the ages of 1 to 18, as long as the sponsors are tracking that on their end.
Hey, Marianne, I just had a follow-up question to this. I just want to confirm.
Yeah.
So with parent pickup, they can only pick up 1 day's worth of meals, correct? They cannot get a week's worth like you may receive in home delivery, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Thank you for
good
that,
clarification.
Jessica.
Yeah, good clarification. Okay, next question. If we already have an approved waiver for monitoring, does that carry us through till June 30th of 2020? And Dominique, I'll give that to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Yes, if you have an approved waiver for monitoring, that carries us through until June 30th, 2020.
Perfect. Okay, next one, Linda, this is for you. Since the state has extended the soft closure past April 20th, do I need to submit another nationwide waiver request form with an extended date?
The way we've been working it, you have a waiver in, you should be putting that in My Idaho CNP as an adjustment, and your original waiver is good until the next expiration date you put in My Idaho CNP.
Okay, it looks like we might be slowing down on the questions. I want to ask the Idaho State Agency Child Nutrition team, is there anything that you would like to share that you feel would be beneficial to the audience as far as maybe most common questions or anything like that that hasn't been touched upon?
Hey, Colleen, during the webinar, we've actually had 2 more questions come in through the Microsoft Word form. I don't know if it's okay if I ask those questions and see if we can answer them.
Absolutely, that's great. Yes, please.
Okay, so the first question is, If the number of meals exceeded the number we entered in our application in My Idaho CMP, do we need to update the application? And
This is Dominique. I can take that question.
Okay, great. Go for it, Dominique.
Thank you. In the application packet, there's a section to put in your average daily attendance. Please enter the highest number of meals that you are currently serving in your average daily attendance section. And then when we go in and assess that site application, we will increase that number of allowable meals to make sure you are not exceeding your site cap. But if you are serving more meals than you originally intended, please make those changes in your site applications. Thank you.
Thanks, Dominique. The second question is, where can I find the detailed requirements for home delivery? I want to know how each family qualifies.
Who would like to take that on the process? Again, would the infographic help them with that? And as a reminder, yeah, go for it.
Thank you, Colleen and Jessica. I'll take that. This is TJ. Keep in mind that the waiver allows for the flexibility. It's an FFA decision to do the home delivery, and the only information that's required is for the FFA to know which homes they're going to deliver to. The state agency does not need addresses or number of students, but you need to have some type of an accounting measure. If you're delivering to a specific home, you need to know how many children between the ages of 1 and 18 are receiving meals so that you can claim those meals.
Perfect. Thank you,
Chief. Colleen, since you have the website up, if you scroll down a little bit on that web page.
Sure. Let me close the questions for just 1 second. Let me, I'm going to dock the questions over there. Okay, so where would you like me to go?
If you scroll down just a little bit to sponsor resources, I believe it's called. Right there. So the very last document is the Seamless Summer Food Home Delivery Protocols. So that's another resource. You really want to review this document prior to submitting a waiver, just so you understand all of the procedures involved.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, let me undock these questions because I think we might have some more coming in.
Hey, Colleen, I do want to add, this is Marianne, I do want to add a clarification too regarding the site cap on your site application. We have one staff who lost audio, so she provided us guidance that question, the number of meals exceeding what's on the application, is that must be updated, is only for summer food service sponsors. The summer food service sponsors must update their site application. If they are operating the Seamless Summer Option program, they do not need to update their site application.
Great clarification. Thank you so much for that. Okay, next question. Linda, looks like you want to take that. If children are being babysat because their parents are at work, are the babysitters allowed to pick up the meals for the children that day?
Yeah, I'm going to answer the question and throw another question out. So only parents, guardians, and older siblings are allowed to pick up a meal for a child. But wouldn't the babysitter be bringing the children to the site?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Linda. Next question, does the monitoring waiver cover the ethnic data form? Marianne.
Yes, it does. So please make sure you submit the on-site monitoring waiver form if you have not already. Thanks, Colleen.
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. Okay, Melissa, I'll give you this next one. I've been trying to put in a claim. Could you tell us the process? Melissa, you might be on mute. Melissa? I'm not sure if we've lost Melissa or not.
I think Melissa has lost audio, so we can try and circle back and see if she can get back on.
Okay, sounds great. And as a reminder, these questions and answers will be put out on the governor's website, and so we'll make sure that this question does get answered, and we'll see if Melissa can get on before the close of the webinar. Okay, and I'm not sure the next question, or, yeah?
Colleen, this is Linda. The next question is answering my question on wouldn't the babysitter be bringing the children to the site, and they answered yes, they would. So the children are present there, so you could give them a meal.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you for that follow-up, because I wasn't sure exactly what that meant. Okay, the next question, and we have just a couple of minutes, so hopefully we get to all of them that are needed. Add to this question, if we know of some families that are high need and cannot get to sites, could we do home deliveries to those who are in a severe need without doing home delivery for all the children? Could this be a civil rights issue if we do not take meals to all students?
Hi, Colleen, this is TJ. I'll take that one because I know we had an in-staff discussion about it, and we've actually submitted a question to the Western region because the form is very clear that it says home delivery should be available to all eligible children, but here's where some of the guidance is really tricky because it says should. So we are waiting for further clarification to ensure that there is not a civil rights violation if it isn't offered to all eligible children as opposed to should be.
Yeah, thank you, TJ. And yeah, this has been an area of concern for us too. At the same time, we're having districts telling us that they are getting fiscally drained. And so trying to give you suggestions on this webinar on how to make things as fiscally sound for you and getting as much food out as possible. So thank you for that question. Looks like the last question we're going to be able to take today is, what about other parents? I have a neighborhood of a parent picking up meals. I think we've probably already answered this, but does anyone have any other thoughts on that? Okay, the USDA guidance, excuse me, is quite clear. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice, about who can and cannot be picking up the meals, and I believe that the staff has already answered that one. So we have quarter till. The webinar is done. Again, this is being recorded and will be out on the governor's website. We appreciate everything that is being done out there on behalf for Idaho children, and we will talk with you, if not sooner. We will see you on the webinar at this time next week. Thank you, everyone, for your hard work.